Good evening, ghouls and fiends. Hey to Head of Steel and Fran the Cannon in the chat. Um, we're gonna start off with just a little chat. Now, obviously, the MOH Ministry of Horror is part of the MOS network, along with sister show Retro Chat with Andy, and obviously the main show Ministry of Slam. And it's not horror related, but this is, kind of wrestling related as part of our sort of parent company. Yeah, the wrestling world lost Scott Hall, and oh man, that just sucks. That just sucks. Um, I won't kind of talk about it too much now because I know that the other shows are gonna kind of go into his career and discuss it in more detail than I ever could. Just to kind of go quickly on my memories, really, of Scott Hall. So, obviously, I came into the whole Ministry of Slam being a wrestling fan, being friends with Lawrence through Voodoo Vegas and Lee through work at that time. And for me, my wrestling fandom started 99, 2000 when my family got Sky for the first time. I was never a WCW kid. It wasn't really readily available that I could see. We could get WCW on Channel 5 at one point, and it was like 6 months. Maybe not 6 months, but it was very much behind what was currently going on. So I never grew up with Razor Ramon. I didn't really. I knew of the NWO, but I never really saw it because I started watching. When I think maybe the first episode might have been the test wedding to Stephanie McMahon, which also the Triple H stuff happened. So I didn't grow up, watching Scott Hall matches. And to be honest, I probably have only seen a handful of Scott Hall matches to this day because I don't really often watch past wrestling. But even then, I knew of Scott Hall, and the first thing that always come to my mind with Scott Hall and his persona and his presentation was just cool. He just came across as effortlessly cool. And I've seen his debut on Nitro, and I've seen stuff of Scott Hall since, like the WrestleMania match with with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um, but yeah, it's just so sad, really, isn't it? I mean, the guy went through some stuff, in his younger years, and he had his demons, but he overcame those demons. He was like a real kind of success story of you can hit the lowest lows and come back from them. And for what how it's ended, just so sad, just so sad. So I was gonna have a beer here, even though I don't drink on Ministry of Horror shows. I mean, anyone who watches the Atesia stream, which I haven't done for a couple of weeks. Um, I normally am drinking and vaping throughout, but I've got a glass of water here, so I'm just gonna raise a drink, of water in memory of Scott Hall. I mean, just yeah, sad, very sad news. Okay, we're gonna start the news with some more sad news. Oh man, this is it's kind of horror adjacent, I'd say. I mean, I'm very much not a gatekeeper when it comes to horror stuff. I think if you can find horror in anything, it doesn't have to be. The films don't need to be stuck in certain genres. But William Hurt passed away at the age of 71. Don't quote me on this because I don't have the. Oh, actually, I have got the Wikipedia open. Um, yeah, it was terminal prostate cancer that had metastasized to the bones, and he died from complications in his home in Oregon, March 13th, 2022, on his 72nd birthday. I mean, when I think William Hurt, I think Altered States. That's a weird film. It's a good film, but it is very weird. And the other one, kind of, I suppose, horror adjacent, is Dark City. That was a really quite an underrated film, quite dark, very creepy film. So yeah, another bit of sad news. Now, as you may see from the title, firstly, I scheduled the show, and I'm certain that I scheduled it for 8 p.m. today. But as I was driving to work, I started getting notifications saying, "Oh, your show starts in 5 minutes," and I'm like, "It's 5 to 8." Crap, I've probably set 8 a.m. So, in the event anyone got notifications thinking that Ministry of Horror has suddenly become a breakfast show, no, that was my bad. Apologies. Apologies out the gate. So, going into some news. Actually, just before I get into the rest of this news, I will address what we're going to be doing on the show as the main portion. So, it had been suggested a few weeks back, quite early oh yes, Fran O'Connor. He was great in an episode of Nightmares and Dreamscapes TV show based on the short stories from that collection by Stephen King. That was brilliant. That episode I do have, was it Battlegrounds? I think it was Battlegrounds. Battleground. Yeah, he was in that. Excellent, excellent stuff. And it had a still Altered States. I remember trying to watch that on HBO as a small lad. Was quite confused. I don't necessarily fully understand what actually happened in that film. It was very trippy, and to be honest, my first kind of introduction into it, and the reason I sought it out, was South Park. There's a bit when Cartman can't remember exactly what's happening to him. I think it's because he's being nice, and he starts then going through a bit of a transformation, having all these weird flashes of like distortion on his body, and yeah, that was kind of a kind of parody of Altered State, which yeah, I won't even try to describe the film. It's really good. It's very strange though. Um, yeah. So the main thing we're going to be doing on the show a bit later on, and I would say, and I'll put a reminder out a bit later on. Boot it up now, just to avoid any potentials for buffering. We're going to be watching Escape the Undertaker, or the New Day Escape the Undertaker. It's something that I think Lawrence suggested early on in the Ministry of Horror as kind of a cool idea to do. I have seen it once when it first came out, and we followed the Big E. I've followed the kind of the Big E route. We're gonna follow it either Xavier or Kofi, but we'll go through the episode and go through the suggestions as we get there. And I had a few sort of change arounds with some shows, and I thought, you know what, in kind of solidarity for Big E, because obviously he's had quite a nasty injury on SmackDown on Friday. We'll do the Escape the Undertaker watch along this week. So that's going to be pretty fun. But going into horror news for the week, and I will drop the link in the chat. Sam Raimi still wants to make a Batman film. I didn't even know he wanted to make a Batman film, but it makes sense. He's a really cool director. Sam Raimi, obviously notable for the Evil Dead franchise, just excellent stuff, and Spider-Man, the original trilogy, and more recently coming up the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange. So I'll just pop that from Bloody Disgusting, kind of a real go-to for latest horror news. But yeah, just talk through it briefly. The director of the original Spider-Man trilogy, Sam Raimi, returns to the world of Marvel with the upcoming superhero horror movie Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But Raimi's own personal superhero interests extend beyond the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In a chat with Empire Online, he gently expressed his interest in making a Batman movie, a property that's currently in the hands of the Batman director Matt Reeves. Raimi tells the site, "I've always loved Batman. If I ever saw the bat signal up in the air, I'd come running." So it's very much a what-if scenario. He's been in the superhero horror genre before with Darkman, which was essentially Raimi's own version of characters such as Batman and the Shadow. Now, I have seen Darkman. I don't know if it was Darkman or Darkman 2, but I do need to rewatch it because I think at that time I wasn't that well versed in Raimi's style, that kind of dark comedy, brooding kind of horror, and I didn't really like it when I first watched it, but it is very much on my list to watch. So many Batman movie flavors already. Yeah, I wouldn't want them to rush into doing something with Sam Raimi. It'd be cool to see, but yeah, like Head of Steel says, there's quite a few very different versions that we've seen so far in the cinematic universe. Drop in the chat what you thought of the Batman. If anyone watching live has seen the Batman, or if you're catching up on this on the podcast, drop into the Twitter Ministry_Horror or the Facebook, and let me know what you thought of the Batman. I've seen it. I think I put my comments a couple of weeks back or a week so back on the Ministry of Slam chat. I did enjoy it. I didn't think it needed to be 3 hours long. There's parts in the middle that I think they could have trimmed down a bit. I really liked the fact they focused more on Batman as a detective. Um, and there were parts that I did really like, and I think I'll probably appreciate it a bit more on a rewatch. But I did very much leave the cinema kind of feeling like, huh, it's good, but huh, not not like when I left the cinema after watching Ghostbusters Afterlife. Went in there thinking, could be cool. Really enjoyed it. So Batman, I'd give a solid 8 out of 10. It's not bad. It's pretty damn good, but could have trimmed a few bits down. But yeah, let me know what you thought on that. Now, in other news, there's a new film coming out called Escape the Cornfield, which looks pretty damn interesting. So again, I'll drop the article link in the chat. But yeah, there's been a poster has been revealed for Escape the Field, in which I guess characters are dropped into an endless cornfield. Lionsgate teases Escape the Field, a new horror film from Emerson Moore that will open in select theatres and VOD platforms on May the 6th, 2022. So it's got the first images on the poster art for the cat and mouse thriller starring Jordan Claire Robbins, Theo Rossi. Now, Theo Rossi is a name oh crap! I was just looking at the image on the link, thinking, where do I know the name Theo Rossi? It's not really jumping out to me. His hair in this picture, and he never had hair in the show. He was from Sons of Anarchy. Tahari Sharif, Julian Fender, Eleanor Huatko, and Shane West. I don't know any of those other actors. In the film, the fear is inescapable and suspense non-stop in this gripping horror thriller about 6 strangers who suddenly awaken in a remote, endless cornfield. Straight away, that's got my interest, because cornfields can be so damn creepy if used, effectively. There's a not massively well-known horror film called Scarecrows, or just Scarecrow maybe. I caught it once on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I picked up the Blu-ray of it. God damn, that's a freaky film. Like, there's not a massive amount to the plot, but the way the cornfields themselves are obviously the setting for the film, but the use of the scarecrows, and it's damn gory. It's quite supernatural as well. I would definitely recommend searching that one out. But we're not talking about scarecrows. We're talking about Escape the Field. So they're in a remote, endless cornfield. Stripped of their possessions, they are left with only 6 items: a gun and a single bullet, matches, a lantern, a knife, a compass, and a flask of water. As mysterious sirens blare in the distance and traps appear at every turn, the group realizes it's been plunged into a cat-and-mouse game with an unseen evil, and survival depends upon solving a diabolical and deadly puzzle. Poster artwork looks pretty cool if you scroll down through the page. I'm very much interested in watching that. I think, if done well, and if the acting's good, could be a pretty damn decent thriller horror. And that's coming May the 6th. And finally, in news, this is pretty cool. So, if you've watched or listened to the show before, you'll know that I'm a fan of Ty West. I like the guy's films. The films I've seen anyway. I haven't seen the Western that he did. Can't remember what it's called. But he has a film coming out very soon, if not. Shane West is good was in the Nikita and Salem TV series. I've not actually seen either. I've heard very good things about both of them, but I've not seen it. What is all this Vum Today things that come from YouTube? I don't get it. Someone tell me. But we have he has a new film coming out soon, very soon. It might even be out now, but I'm definitely going to go watch it. Called X, which is his return to horror, set in a kind of 70s setting. I think it's a porn crew. I've gone to an old farmhouse to film an adult film, but things occur as they tend to do in a horror. Well, he has unveiled a teaser, which I haven't seen yet, for a surprise X prequel, Pearl, at South by Southwest. Ty West's X made its world premiere at South by Southwest Film Festival, ahead of its theatrical release on March the 18th, and I don't know if that's worldwide or just US. And at the Q&A after the premiere, West saved the best for last, a trailer for an already filmed X prequel titled Pearl. Pearl was shot in secret on location in New Zealand and is currently in post-production. The film was written and directed by Ty West, with Mia Goth reprising her X role. It's produced by A24, who just, I mean, Christ, the films that they produce seem to just be gold. Gold after gold after gold. Jacob Jeffka, Harrison Kreis, and Kevin Turin, and executive produced by Goth, Dennis Cummings, Sam Levinson. Was Sam Levinson in Freaks and Geeks? That name sounds familiar. Ashley Levinson, Karina Manishil, Scott Mescudi, and Peter Funk. X, meanwhile, takes place in 1979, where a group of young filmmakers, porn filmmakers, set out to make an adult film in rural Texas. Not that there's anything derogatory about that. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the cast soon finds themselves in a desperate fight for their lives. Oh, Mia Goth was in the Suspiria remake, which was absolute trash. Scott Mescudi is Kid Cudi, which I didn't realise that was his real name. Owen Campbell from Super Dark Times, that's a pretty cool film. Stephen Ury is from Deathgasm, which is a cool heavy metal horror comedy. And Scream's Jenna Ortega. Now, I do still need to watch the new Scream. I haven't seen it yet. Heard very good things, and nothing really derogatory about it. But yeah, very much looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to X, and Pearl also sounds pretty cool. So we are now going to do a little bit of a review, as we do. It's another Shudder film, and it's one that I mentioned in the news last week. The Seed. Now, I feel that I'm constantly shitting on these new films that are coming out, and I'm really not. I'm really not trying to be a negative Nelly or any of that sort of stuff. But other than Censor, which is one of the first reviews did a few weeks back, oh man, I will say though, The Seed, in comparison to like the last few films like Hellbender, and Slapface, The Seed is a bad film, but it is actually quite enjoyable. It's weird. I mean, it's shot really nicely, but then the effects do look quite cheap. But then there's some visual effects, like I suppose some CGI effects, which look quite decent. But then the practical effects, which I normally prefer practical effects because if it looks real, it seems more real. What kind of came across kind of cheap. Yeah, but I did kind of enjoy the film. It was pretty damn dumb, but entertaining. So it's a 2021 release. It came to Shudder last week exclusively. Written and directed by Sam Walker. Stars a small cast of Lucy Martin, Chelsea Edge, and Sophie Vavasseur. It's basically, I mean, just the blurb on IMDb. What starts out as a girl's weekend away in the Mojave Desert becomes a tale of horror, death, and alien invasion. So, I'm just going to close some of my windows because I've got too many windows open. Cool. You've got these three actresses, these three, early 20s girls, and they've gone to a really fancy house, which is one of the girls' father's house. Two of the girls are influencers, and one of them just doesn't even use social media. So you kind of already get an idea of which one's kind of going to be a protagonist based on how attached they are to the social media world. And they've gone to take drugs, drink, and watch this meteor shower, which is one of once in a lifetime event. This big testicle thing comes down from the sky and lands in their swimming pool. And I watched a review after watching it on YouTube. Mark Commode, who's one of the guys that got me into horror with his specials on horrors in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he does a lot of film reviews. He's a film reviewer; that's his profession. And he did a review on The Seed. And he kind of capitalized it quite well in that if you've ever seen the film Eraserhead by David Lynch, hey, Carrie. If you've ever seen the film Eraserhead by David Lynch, think of that creature in that, and that's kind of what you get as the creature in this. This testicle thing starts kind of morphing into like a weird amorphous turtle thing, really weird, and it does kind of look like that just nuts thing from the far better Eraserhead by David Lynch, and it starts having an influence. Okay, my Apple Watch just decided to contact a talk-based assistant. I don't even remember saying that word, but that's there we go. Yeah, so it starts having this influence on them, and there's allusions to an alien invasion. It's a mad film. There's a lot of okay, so think of a mixture of the creature from Eraserhead and a not as extreme version of what's it called? The smulching, the smelding, the melding. There's a film called Society, which has an infamous finale. Think that. And that film's crazy. It kind of has vibes of that. But you know what? As crap as the film was, and I don't like shitting on films, I really don't. It probably seems like I do. It was kind of entertaining. If you have Shudder and you kind of just want to put something on in the background, maybe not pay too much attention to it, it's worth a watch. It's better than Slapface and I think Hellbenders. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 on the test score for The Seed. Now, and I did keep meaning to do some graphics for these changes of segments, but sorry, Head of Steel, did you say a film featuring a testicle-like monster was nuts? Completely unintentional, but yes. I was going to plan to do some graphics for like transitions. I really haven't got around to it. I've got an accountancy exam in a couple of weeks, and recently got a dog, and it's just been a bit mad. So no special graphics for the live stream, but we are going to debut the Ministry of Horror MOH Book Club. Oh shit, that's my camera. Excuse my language. There we go. Still getting used to this technological know-how. Book Club. Now, I'm starting it off with a short story. It's one in society. It was The Shunting. God, yes, The Shunting. My God. My God. Society. I remember watching Society. It might well have been on Shudder. And it was one that I knew of from the artwork with this face and kind of a pinky purpley goo. And I knew that it was meant to be quite gross. I didn't know anything about the story. And for the first, it's been an hour and a half, I guess. And for about an hour 10, it's basically like a mystery, like a kind of a murder mystery from memory. You get hints of something a bit weird going on with some of the people, like body parts where there shouldn't be body parts. Leads to a finale where the shunting occurs. I don't want to say too much more about it if you haven't watched it, other than give it a watch. And yeah. So what else is there to say about the shunting scene in society? But yeah, we are doing the book club. And as you'll see appearing on the screen, I decided, because I'm an avid reader, but I'm not a fast reader. I do most of my reading on the throne. Make of that what you will. And I recently picked up from a charity shop Clive Barker's Books of Blood, the first collection, which is volumes 1 to 3, and the second collection, which is volumes 4 to 6. I think those are all the Books of Blood. I don't think he did any further volumes, but I may be wrong. And as you may be seeing appearing on the screen now, the story that I decided to talk about, not so much, I suppose, in a review. I don't really want to be scoring it, but just kind of discussing, is it's like the first proper short story in it. The first official one, which is Books of Blood or Book of Blood, is more of a trippy kind of introduction to the stories within. but it's the first kind of main story in Books of Blood Volume 1, and that is the Midnight Meat Train. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So I've always wanted to read more Clive Barker. He got very, very high praise early in his career from Stephen King, and Stephen King's my boy. Pretty much 80% of the books behind me are Stephen King. Is one of the reasons I love horror. And I'm sure that's the same for quite a lot of people. Other authors I like, James Herbert. I've never really read Dean Koontz. He is on the list to try because I do love the film. It's kind of trashy, Phantoms. But Dean Koontz I haven't read much of. But Clive Barker, who I always find is more difficult to find in bookshops other than his more kid-friendly books, is someone that I've wanted to read more of. I've read The Hellbound Heart, which is the basis for Hellraiser. And I've read The Scarlet Gospels, which is kind of a sequel closing chapter to The Hellbound Heart and some other stories because of the characters therein. But The Midnight Meat Train, it was adapted into a film, which, as you can see on the images, starred Vinnie Jones as the butcher, the Mahogany is his name, and Bradley Cooper as the other character whose name I've already forgotten. But wow. Okay. This is what I love about a good short story. You don't need to overload it with exposition. It doesn't need to meet a certain minimum page, page minimum, I should say. So I love Stephen King's books, but I haven't read too many of his short story collections. I think maybe because I'd picked up one of his 90s ones, which was, as we mentioned earlier, Nightmares and Dreamscapes. And I found it so difficult to get into just because, especially the first few stories, were so long with far too much build up, not interesting build up. Maybe I need to skip through to some other stories to find some better ones. Now I've got it on the bookcase, and Skeleton Crew is a much better collection in my opinion. But I'd picked up the Books of Blood, and I mean, Midnight Meat Train I think is 15 pages long. It's not. I don't think it's even 20 pages. I think it is maybe like 15, 16 pages, and it's brilliant. And the film adaptation has managed to take a story that is, again, 15 pages long, really, if that. And they do a pretty good job. It's not a bad adaptation. They manage to stay true to the story, but at the same time expand such a short story into a feature-length film and pretty much stay true to it. Even the crazy finale, which I think was really cool and really inventive. His prose in it is so dark and gory, but without being exploitative. It's really good, and I'm looking forward to reading some more of it. Fran the Can says, "Have you tried any Richard Lehman?" I've not heard of Richard Lehman. Give me a suggestion, and I'll add it to my. I have got a Kindle, but I just can't. I just always like to buy a book. I just prefer holding a paperback or a hardback. So yeah, Fran the Cannon, drop in the chat Richard Lehman, and I will live on air. I'll add it to my Amazon basket. But yeah, that's the general story for the Midnight Meat Train. Is New York City. There's a guy that's moved there. I believe he's with his girlfriend. I may be confusing it with the film possibly, and how it expands things quite a bit. But a guy moves to New York City. He's in love with the city, just the vibe, everything. The city is its own kind of character. If you've ever been to New York, you'll understand. I went on a holiday there. There's nothing quite like it. I mean, I'm not that well traveled, so maybe there is. But for me at the time, being a small boy from Ringwood, it's really quite special. But at the same time, as will have happened in big cities all of the time, especially I suppose in the 70s, 80s, I think this was released in the mid-80s, there are murders occurring. There are brutal bodies and scenes being found on subway trains in New York. Very quickly, we're jumping between this main character, I can't remember his name, but the guy that Bradley Cooper plays, and Mahogany, the butcher. You're getting both their perspectives in quite a short space of time. And it's insinuated at that stage that he is doing this job for the city he has bosses that are above the policeman. He's upset that he's seeing the news articles that things are being found, because on one hand he's not getting the recognition as a killer, but at the same point it shows that he's maybe getting sloppy because he is getting older. His body is wearing down on him, and normally there shouldn't be anything left at the scene, but maybe there's a witness he has to take care of. Maybe time runs out for what he needs to do before he has time to kill and, take the hair off, I guess, de-skin, and basically treat human flesh like it is butcher meat for a higher purpose or something along those lines. And our main character, again played by Bradley Cooper in the film, whose character name I can't remember, is fascinated by these stories, and he stays on the train. He falls asleep on the train, or seemingly, and witnesses this occurring and misses the last stop, and ultimately goes to this final destination where the train driver seems complicit with whatever the butcher is doing, and it leads to quite a shocking finale. And like I say, this all occurs in the novel in the space of 15 pages or so. If you've not seen the film, I would recommend giving it a watch. I never saw it initially because the title sounds a bit trashy. Not that I'm just into like highbrow horror, but if it looks like it's going to be torture porn or gore porn, for want of a better term, then I'm not really that interested in it. I don't mind grisly horror at all, but it has to serve a purpose. There has to be a story behind it. The first Saw worked, the first Hostel kind of worked, but from those points on, it just became more about showing people getting hurt in graphic nature, with not so much focus on what the purpose is, what the story is. Is there a protagonist in this? But it is actually pretty damn good, and having now just recently read the short, it does stick to it pretty well. So I recommend it. If you can probably, I picked up mine from a charity shop, and it's 3 volumes of the Books of Blood, and it was £2 I saw on the label. You could probably get it for a few quid on Kindle, but I think we will probably in the future look at some more short stories. There's The Forbidden is in Books of Blood. I think it's volume 1, or it's in the first collection, and that is the basis for Candyman. Candyman, I like the first film, but it's not my go-to. It's not my go-to horror of the 90s. It's quite a scary film at times, like quite dark, but it's not my go-to. It's an interesting story, though, and I've not seen the latest film, but I am interested in seeing what the basis for that was, because Hellraiser is quite different, to the Hellbound Heart, even though Clive Barker did write and direct the first Hellraiser film. But yeah, I see Brown McCann says probably Funland or Island. Right, let me open up my Amazon. And Richard Lamon. Just copy that into the search. The Beast House trilogy, The Cellar, The Beast House, and The Midnight Tour. Sounds pretty good. Darkness, Tales and Adventure, The Lake, Among the Missing, Flesh, oh my god, The Traveling Vampire Show. Oh, do you know what? That's actually kind of irritating. So a while ago, so I do write. It's mainly been screenplays. I do film work, but I have. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an author, but I just never thought it was a viable career. But one of the stories that I did have an idea for was a circus-based thing, probably because it was quite a big thing in my youth, having vampire clowns in it. And I've just seen that it's got The Traveling Vampire Show, which I imagine is probably much better than anything I could have written. But that's 99p for Kindle. Like I say, I don't normally use my Kindle, but it's $7.99 for the paperback, $32.75 for the hardcover. Right, I'll add that to the basket in a second. It's just like a buy now. So you mentioned Funland or the Island. Hey, Crimson Mel. We're just doing some Amazon shopping at the moment. Professional thing. So Island A Luxury Holiday Turns Deadly. That's $8.49 on paperback, $2.99 on Kindle. And Funland, More Fear Than Fun. We're going to go with Funland, I think, because there's something about creepy amusement parks. $8.49 on paperback. I mean, I could just get it for $1.99 on Kindle, but I do prefer physical books. And this will arrive tomorrow. Screw it. Okay. You got me to spend £8.46. I mean, it didn't take much pushing. I'm terrible with Amazon. Any incentive to spend money. Right, yeah. Hopefully my card details aren't reflected onto my glasses. Cool. Okay, well, we've picked that up. We have picked that up. So there we have it. That is so what I'm thinking in terms of the general book club, because I don't want it to be a regular thing. I don't want it to be too infrequent. Is every so often we'll do a short story, whether it's Clive Barker, maybe alternative short stories because they're quick and easy. And like I say, I'm an avid reader, not a quick reader. But in terms of novels, so we've just picked up Funland, but I have two actually, and I'd like to hear potential perspectives if people have read these books, or if they like the sound of it, of what to read in the next few weeks, and then discuss on the show. So bear with me one moment. I should have grabbed these before starting the show. Dead air, what you love on a radio podcast live stream. So two books that I remember picking up. I think it was in Winchester or Wimborne Christmas Market. I don't know. Anyway, I saw that there was a Waterstones, and I'm not going to not go to Waterstones and look at the horror collection. But I picked up two books that I know very little about. It turns out that I didn't even realize one of them has been adapted into a film, which I've seen, and it's pretty good. But I just thought, I'm always on the lookout for something good. Dead Air is where it's at. It's all the rage, man. Thanks, Mel. So I'd like suggestions from the chat about one of these two, just because I've already got them here. But then I think after whichever one we pick, I will have hopefully have read Funland by then, and we can discuss that. Because I don't really know much about. I've never even heard of this director, but I do. I like the front covers, and half the time me buying a book is what the cover looks like. But the choices for the book club, proper novel, first novel to discuss on the show, probably in a 2-3 weeks time. Well, when I finish it, basically, is either My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones and The Ritual by Adam Neville. The Ritual may be more known to people based on the film. The film is available on Netflix, I believe. It's pretty decent. It is a pretty decent film. I'm not going to read the entire backs of both of these books because we'll be here for a while. But in regards to My Heart is a Chainsaw, the tagline is, "Some girls just don't know how to die." Oh, man, that sounds... Jade Daniels is an outcast, half Indian with an abusive father and an absent mother. In Proof Rock, a town that wants nothing to do with her. Now one class away from dropping out of school, she is pouring her life and soul into her last assignment, a personal history of horror films. Well, who doesn't have their own personal history of horror films? That's really cool. But Proof Rock doesn't rest easy. As blood spills in the lake and violent stories refuse to stay buried, Jay's encyclopedic knowledge of horror cinema begins to make sense of everything happening in the rapidly gentrifying rural lake town. And with the arrival of the final girl, Letha Mondragon, she is convinced an irreversible sequence of events has been set into motion. As Jade dives deep into the history of her hometown, the missing tourists, the drowned church in Indian Lake, the tragic deaths at camp years ago, the town strives to keep her trapped. But outcasts still laugh and fight and cry and love fiercely, and even as the terror descends and the blood flows, they never ever give up. Alma Katsu, author of The Deep and the Hunger, says a homage to slasher films that also manages to defy and transcend genre. Okay. So that's My Heart is a Chainsaw. Now the other one, Adam Neville's The Ritual, which the Sunday Times has said is horrifyingly scary. Ooh, in the forests of Scandinavia, an ancient present starts its nightmare hunt once again. Four old university friends reunite for a hiking trip in the Scandinavian wilderness of the Arctic Circle. No longer young men, they have little left in common, and tensions rise as they struggle to connect. Frustrated and tired, they take a shortcut that turns their hike into a nightmare that could cost them their lives. Lost, hungry, and surrounded by forest untouched for millennia, they stumble across an isolated house. Inside, they find the macabre remains of unknown rites and pagan sacrifices, ancient artifacts, and unidentifiable bones. The place of dark ritual is home to a bestial predator that is still alive in the ancient forest, and now they're the prey. The four friends struggle towards salvation, but death doesn't come easily among these ancient trees. So, they are the what am I talking about? The two novels to pick from. They seem to be fairly similar in length. I'd say maybe My Heart as a Chainsaw looks slightly bigger. But if we've got any preference on either of those, pop it in the chat and we can confirm it. And if we've got no preference, then I'll pick one and we'll set a show when to discuss it. Crimson Mel, the second one caught my interest. Crimson Mel, have you seen the film that this is based on? No, not that this is based on. It's based on this, adapted of this, The Ritual. It's a British film, I believe. It's British actors. And it is on Netflix. I think it's just Netflix picked it up, so it should be on both Netflix US and UK. Yeah, it does. Oh, okay. So we've got some interest on both sides. So Crimson Mel's interested in The Ritual. Carrie is intrigued by My Heart as a Chainsaw. Crimson Mel I've not, but I'll put it on my list to watch. Yeah, it is decent. I have mixed feelings about the finale, but at the same point, I quite liked that they went for it, which is incredibly vague, I know, but I really don't want to give anything away. I will say it didn't really mention it too much on the back of the book, but the film has a very striking opening. Something very tragic happens that gets called back to quite often throughout the film, and it's a decent film. So okay, we've got one for The Ritual. We've got one for My Heart as a Chainsaw. We'll come back to look for a kind of a confirmation a bit later in the show. But now, let me just check my show plan. We are at the main event. So I will say now, just to get it loaded up, and we'll confirm when we're going to start it. We will watch and work through the Netflix original interactive film Escape the Undertaker. Now, we are the Ministry of Horror, MOH. We are part of the Ministry of Slam network, and that is wrestling. That's, quite a few people that are listening may well have come across the show from our parent show, Ministry of Slam. So what I will say before we sort of discuss the episode and then start watching it is go on to Netflix, find Escape the Undertaker, hit start, and this is purely just to kind of get any potential buffering issues out the way. Hit start, let it play for a couple of seconds, then pause and pull it back to the start. So then hopefully there shouldn't be any sort of buffering issues. We can watch it at the same time. For those that don't know, yes, it is The Undertaker from wrestling. And it also features the New Day. Solidarity to Big E, who's got an awful broken neck injury currently. But we're going to work through it. It's an interactive film. The New Day have some great comedy chops. I like I said at the start of the show, I did go through this when it first came out, and I went through the Big E route, because you got 3 routes at the start. So we'll look at either Kofi or Xavier. But if you guys want to get it loaded up, if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, play along at home. Just going to get a quick swig of water. Okay, so Escape the Undertaker. I'm just going to have a quick look on Wikipedia about the background of it. I mean, did it have anyone notable behind the scenes, or was it a purely WWE production? Okay, there's nothing on Wikipedia. Let's go to IMDb. and have a little look, see if there's any kind of production information. Escape the Undertaker. So it's directed by Ben Sims. Has he done much outside of that? Is he any kind of? Okay, no, he seems to be a Netflix affiliated director. For doing interactive based filming, and that's based on he was the producer for You versus Wild, which is the Bear Grylls Netflix interactive. Oh my god, excuse me, that water's made me burp. Interactive series. Okay, so there's not really any. That's barely anything in terms of in terms of the production. Ben Sims directed it. Stars Mark Calloway, Etor Ewan, who's Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Austin Watson, who's Xavier Woods. I did not know his name was actually Austin Watson. Is Austin Creed, Xavier Woods, Consequences Creed. That's Austin Watson. But yeah, Carrie is cool is ready. So get the show ready, and I'm just gonna move the stream chat to my production-y sort of page. And we don't need Clive Barker on screen anymore, but we do need the Undertaker. We do need the Undertaker. There we go. Okay, so after 3, we're going to hit play. So it's going to be 3, 2, 1, play. So when you're ready, those watching live, those listening later on podcast, we are going to watch Escape the Undertaker, and we're going to work through this together. It'll hopefully be fun. If not, hey, this is a solo show. Cool. So in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, great, and it's buffering. Okay, we have a Netflix interactive film, which is incredibly loud in my headphones. God damn. There he is, Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, legendary figure in WWE. Probably scared a fair few people in their youth, depending on when you grew up. Okay, has he? Okay, he's made a key out of 2 pieces of metal. Okay, the urn is a key part of his most of his career, especially his early career. We're seeing some footage of Undertaker just smashing people. I'm doing a live commentary, as I imagine if you are just listening to this on podcast, it would suck for just radio silence. Yeah, for a long time, Undertaker was kind of unmatched in presence. Great ability as well for a big man. Get ready to click. You decide what happens next. Okay. Now, I would have liked to pause so we can interactively do the decisions, but I have a feeling it's time limited. See, it's time limited. So I'm going to say I'm ready. I'm not too scared because that might end it. So I've clicked I'm ready. I don't want to undo last choice. Okay, so there we've got a pretty cool house. A pretty cool, I suppose you'd call it a mansion or a manor. Escape the Undertaker. It very much does feel like, especially with the music now, like it's something on Spike TV in like 2008. Like you'd watch this before The Ultimate Fighter came on. But yeah, you gotta love the New Day. Charismatic, 3 of the most charismatic people in WWE. So they've just happened to come by his mansion. So it shows E and Kofi Kingston doing high flying maneuvers, and then Xavier's just playing his trombone. Oh, so they've come by looking for the urn. Okay, I mean, I guess that makes sense. The power of the urn, which is usually quite dark arts power, to the power of positivity. So I guess for the suggestions, because they're going to be kind of quick fire, I'll say what I'm going to click and I'll do a 3, 2, 1. Hopefully, we're still in sync. And if we're not, it's going to be a few seconds different. Oh, the door has opened to the mansion. I do like the fact that they've got Xavier being a bit more scared than the other two. It kind of ties into the feud with the Wyatt family, where which the Wyatt family would be quite a cool thing to discuss at some point in the future, because there's quite a lot of horror influence there. But Xavier's character was very much the scared individual there. Oh, Crimson Mal, that sucks to hear. I hate it when that happens. So Crimson Mal just said, "This is upsetting. Package I ordered was just delivered, and the moron threw it on the ground. Everything in there is broke." So there's going to be Semi here, but it's going to have to give them a call. Yeah, completely understandable, Crimson Mal. That sucks. I've been fairly fortunate with delivery companies in my area, but you always hear horror stories. Packages just being thrown over fences or just dropped, or people even stealing packages from doorsteps. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Okay. Oh shit, we're gonna follow the whispers. I didn't. I will. Sorry, my phone went. Click follow the whispers. Sorry about that. I will be. I literally just noticed I'd spent money on my card without even realizing. Oh, it's because I purchased Funland. Ah, Paul Bearer. Oh yes. I think that's a pretty good impression. Don't at me. I know my sister's watching the chat, and she, damn it, went with Fog. You can reverse your decision, or you can just watch a slightly different version to the rest of us. It does kind of come together in the middle, I believe. But yeah, next time a suggestion comes up, I will say what I'm going to go with, and then we'll 3, 2, 1 it. But yeah, I imagine all this backstory on the wrestling. My sister Carrie is cool 34 is probably thinking, what? But this is kind of cool. It's an interactive film utilizing the horror influence behind the character and cults. Like there's some cool artwork that Kofi's seeing of what looks like possessed cult people praising this urn's power. Quite cool imagery, even though the set does look like it might have doubled for a porn set for something on Brazzers. Oh, he's hearing the whispers. He's following the whispers as we did. Gone back, but we'll need to fast forward. Okay, well, literally the point I'm at is Kofi Kingston was listening to a glass on a picture. The glass is just broken. Big E is stuck. Okay, so Big E has been trapped onto this big throne. Kofi and Xavier there. I'm keeping a keen eye on the screen so I don't miss any other choices. It's the whole purpose of the show. Won't let me fast forward. Oh dear, Carrie. Well, just keep in mind what choices we select, and you should only be a few seconds behind, I imagine. I don't know how far we are into it on Netflix on the browser. The only thing I've got at the bottom of the screen is if I want to undo last choice. Oh, the urn loves to consume the souls of the good. So at this stage, they're thinking the Undertaker is up to this point a colleague of theirs that they do the graps with every week, but now it's legitimately taken their soul. You know. Okay, there's a keyhole on the side of the lock that's around the urn. Some cool imagery around it. Some cool symbolism. Okay, we're probably going to get another selection coming up. From the sounds of it. Okay, so Kofi's recognised the symbol. Woods has recognised the symbol, so we've not followed the Woods route yet. We've done the Kofi route. Biggie don't feel so good. Okay, search upstairs or search basement. I'm going to go search basement. 3, 2, 1, basement. Yeah, you really have to pay attention. You don't get much time to make a selection. But for anyone following at home, I've clicked on search basement. Okay, we've got a door with a creepy symbol on it. I'm trying to think if I recognise a similar association with that symbol. Upside down triangle with like a kind of a cross and a kind of another point on the top of it. It looks similar to something in like satanic lore. I imagine Crimson Mel will kind of be much better versed at like dark iconography. Okay, so they are in a morgue with a weird sort of chicken embryo, a two-headed skeleton, biological, biochemical symbol. The toe tag is Isaac Yankum DDS. That's Kane, for anyone that doesn't know. A horror dentist character. Horror dentists. There's a 90s horror film, I think there's maybe two, called The Dentist. They're pretty fun, schlocky, over-the-top 90s gore fests. So I've not got the choices up yet. We'll go with basement when you get there, Carrie. Goodness me. Goodness me. Follow Xavier or stay with others. I'm going to say stay with others. 3, 2, 1, stay with others. Because I'm not going in the fog. Right next to a corpse. Oh, and there's the Undertaker behind Xavier Woods. Oh my goodness. Chunky Undertaker. He's taking him. He's taking him into the fog. Whoops. Maybe we should have gone to him. Oh well. Okay, Kofi is climbing onto the corpse of Isaac Yankum, DDS. And Big E's gonna push the trolley across through the fog to hopefully not get Undertaker grabbed. It's kind of like it's an escape room type scenario, isn't it? Like a really elaborate, disused warehouse looking area of an escape room. Do you know, I've never done an escape room. I'd be interested to, but I'm shit at puzzles. Oh, Kofi's trying to climb along the pipes, and one has broken. But Kofi is known for his feats of agility and high flying. Have you caught up yet, Carrie? Are you in the morgue yet? Oh yeah, Kofi has made it across. So should be able to get the key now. Looks like the psychosurgeon one I did last weekend. Ah. Was that fun? Okay, they stopped the fog. They got the key. they don't seem too concerned about their friend that's been taken. Oh well, yeah. I say that just as there was like, let's get the let's get Woods. Okay. They are back in the satanic living room with the urn. Okay. Does the key fit the lock? Uh-oh. Oh. A door is open and Woods has been shoved out of it. He doesn't want to talk about it. What did the Undertaker do? Okay, they've got the key. We're gonna get. Yeah, I worked out how to fast forward. Okay, well they're just putting the key in the lock. They got Woods back, and the urn has unlocked. Okay, so there's multiple keys. Of course, it's only got one half of the key as we saw at the start. So if they don't find the other key, the ritual will complete and oh dear, Big E is vomiting up some luminous purple, which is a color very much associated with the Undertaker pretty much throughout his career. Okay, I guess we've got another. Keep searching or bust the urn out. I reckon bust the urn out. Screw it. 3, 2, 1. Bust urn out. Screw it. What's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, okay. Biggie gets covered in spiders. Xavier Woods being buried alive. And Kofi with purple eyes has kind of become the new Undertaker. Oh, that's premonitions. Premonitions, maybe. Okay, so I guess we do need to keep searching. I guess that would have been the correct option. It's got a bit of a look into their potential future if they don't find the other key, I imagine. Rest in peace, Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer. That's a cool painting. Like, it's quite creepy imagery. For whatever reason, completely unrelated, it makes me think of the eclipse from Berserk. I've never read the books, but I have seen that particular episode because it's disturbing. Like, anime can be messed up at the best of times, but that is for Jeebus. It's a proper hellscape. So if you like horror anime, or yeah, it's Berserk is great. Do you know? I keep meaning to read the books. And I heard that the author recently, I say recently, the author in the last like 6 months or so passed away, and I don't know if they're ever going to finish it. If someone else is going to take up the mantle, I've kind of kept up to date with what happened post eclipse. Um, but yeah, I happened to see the episode. I think it was like a BuzzFeed or Watch Mojo did like a top 10. Let's go. Keep Power Vial in 3, 2, 1. Keep Power Vial. Yeah, I saw the clip of the Berserk, the eclipse from Berserk, and I'd never heard of it at that time in like a Watch Mojo top 10 disturbing animes. And I found the episode on YouTube, and goddamn, it's not like it's overly detailed art because it is like mid 90s. I think might be wrong on that, but man, it's visually just it is scary. It's just transported into a hellscape, and these monsters are just literally eating people. Just, but yeah, it's a cool story. I'd like a proper full adaptation. I think there's been a couple of adaptations, but from my understanding, they've only ever gone up to the eclipse. There might be more than that, which I'll need to check out. But Berserk is great. Recently watched Helsing and Helsing Unlimited. Do you know what, Fran Cannon? Oh, Carrie's Courses looks like a Dalek. Follow Kofi, stay in library. Let's follow Kofi. Follow Kofi in 3, 2, 1. Follow Kofi. Helsing and Helsing Ultimate. Do you know what? I think, was there a film of Helsing in the late 90s, like 97, 98? Because I think I've seen that, but I'm sure that I've seen on Netflix. There's like a whole series. And that's definitely something I'd like to watch. But I'm very picky with anime in that I really don't watch that much of it. Like, I like the classics like Akira and Street Fighter 2, the animated movies. That's incredible. But yeah, if there's any like really good horror anime suggestions, let me know. I'd love to find one that I want to stick with. I've dipped in of like Tokyo Ghoul and Parasite. I think I've seen an episode of, but yeah, any really good horror anime suggestions, ideally on Netflix or Prime, readily available, then hit it up in the chat. Let me know. So, do we want to face the Undertaker or flee? I reckon let's not be pansies. Let's face the Undertaker. So 3, 2, 1, face Undertaker. Yeah, I'd love if Berserk, if one of the series adaptations was on Netflix. And to be honest, I think Netflix should do like a Castlevania, which I have seen season 1 of. I haven't finished any more of it though, but the season 1 was decent. But yeah, do like a Castlevania type adaptation of Berserk, just like no holds barred. Oh, smacking about Kofi. Maybe we shouldn't have faced him. Doesn't sound like it went well. It's quite a basic sandwich for the Undertaker to be eating. Is that pastrami? Um, Flee or search alligator? I reckon search alligator. There's got to be something there. So search alligator in 3, 2, 1. Search alligator. Yeah, they haven't even realised Kofi's gone. Just throw Woods up into the bookcase to get the is it an alligator or a crocodile? I think it was an alligator, wasn't it? Okay, so is he going to take a run up to Biggie, and Biggie's going to fling him up to the bookcase? Yeah, pretty much. Woods displaying some killer upper body strength to pull up to the alligator. Yeah, I think Biggie's got the easy job there, keeping his foot on something. Oh, of course, Biggie's been affected by the urn's dark power. And you know what? Talking about anime, maybe if there's any anime aficionados, we should maybe do an anime like top 3 horror animes, whether that's film or series. Maybe something I'm interested, like I said, in learning more about. I'd love to find a really good anime narrative that I like. Because I know anime has its fandom, and I don't really get a lot of it. Like Attack on Titan, I did watch a few episodes of series 1 of that, but it never really gripped me. But I would love to watch. I'd love to get suggestions on good horror anime films or series. So maybe that's a future show. Check out Shiki. Oh, Fran the Cannon. Are you thinking of Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust? That anime was a movie. Hellsing was 2 series in 2001 to 2002 and 2006 to 2012. Yes, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. You are correct. That is what I'm thinking of. Is there any connection between Vampire Hunter D and Hellsing, or is it literally just a vampire theme? Shiki. Let me have a look at Shiki. Let's go on Amazon. I've not heard of Shiki. Complete series. £76.82 for the Blu-ray. No. Oh yeah, better keep an eye on the show just in case there's any more suggestions. I'll have a look for Shiki on Amazon because Amazon's quite a horror collection. I keep hearing about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but to my knowledge, it's not a horror series. It looks mental. But I did watch episode 1 recently of Cowboy Bebop, not the live action, but the anime, and I actually quite enjoyed that. I was very surprised. I didn't think it'd be my sort of thing. Okay, so they've got the other key. They have unlocked the urn, and it looks as though Biggie's soul has returned to him. Vampire Hunter D is its own thing. Predates Hellsing. Right, okay. I don't remember much about it, but I guess maybe the art style or just the vampire element had me kind of confused, mixing the two together. Okay, so they're going to face their fear. Right, let's face Xavier's fear because we haven't really focused on Xavier. So 3, 2, 1, face Xavier's fear. Let's see what this is. Well, this will be the Buried Alive, won't it? Because we got the preview of their fears. No, JoJo's not horror. No, it did look like over the top anime, which I don't really think is my thing. I've been very interested, but again, anime is one of those things where when there's multiple different series and films, it can be very difficult for a novice like me. I am an anime novice. Just find them correct my phone position to jump in. I was interested in starting to watch. Okay, join Undertaker or stay loyal. Let's stay loyal. We got to stay loyal to our brothers. 3, 2, 1. Stay loyal. Yeah, you never betray your friends. Friends are all you got. I really wanted to start Neon Genesis Evangelion because I think most of that is on UK Netflix, but it just reading up on it, it just sounds very convoluted, which probably is just me being poor, not really wanting to pay too much attention, but yeah, I will have a look for. Oh god, be prepared for a total mind crash if you watch that. See, that's what puts me off, Mal. The concept sounds really interesting, but when I've tried to sort of read up on it to kind of get a gist of it, it sounds crazy. And then you see that there's a TV series, but then there's like a TV film which is an alternate version of the series, and things like that. I just think keep it simple for me. And I think that's the same with something like is it Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood? Like it's one, if I'm right in saying this, one isn't a sequel to the other; it's a different version of it. Things like that, where it puts me off wanting to start it. But yeah, Helsing, I will check out because I love horror vampires, sparkly vampires, no, but horror vampires like 30 Days of Night and the classics, Nosferatu. That's my jam. Okay, here we go. Undertaker versus the New Day. The question here is does he have a wig on? Because that hair doesn't really look. I mean, I know he's shaved it off and grown it back before, but okay. Shall we say Biggie attack, Xavier charge, Kofi kick? Let's go Kofi kick. 3, 2, 1, Kofi kick. Ooh, Junji Ito's work is pure horror anime. So is that like a show, or is that like his I don't want to say comics, like manga or whatever? I think I did read one of his stories, potentially if I've got the right guy, about these holes that were appearing in a mountainside, and people were walking into them, and they never came out. But if someone came out, their body had contorted to the shape of the hole as it went thinner, and it just sounded like nightmare fuel. Brotherhood is good. It follows the manga, worth watch. Ignore the first series. Okay, so maybe Brotherhood would be my first one to watch, and along with Hellsing, I'll give them a star after the show. Okay, so Undertaker seems to be taking the whole New Day. Ooh, some sparks from that punch. God damn, he's going to take a sledgehammer to Big E. Oh, Xavier with the win. Oh my goodness. Now I don't mean to be disparaging because I do love the wrestling, but WWE turn a multi-million, billion or whatever dollar profit. You'd think they could invest some money in the punch effects, maybe. I think everyone must have tried that at school at some point. The rolling their eyes into the back of the head. I think I could do it, but my eyes aren't very big, so you can't really tell. I won't try and do it now on stream. I'll just embarrass myself. But he's throwing lightning. The Undertaker is now levitating in the air and shooting lightning bolts out of his hands. He's gone full Sith. He has gone Emperor Palpatine. I'm pretty sure I got the Star Wars reference right there. I'm not big into that. The Junji Ito collection is a series of anime shorts based on his stories. I'm gonna have to check that out. If I have heard that his stories are disturbing. Oh no, it's going to take their souls. Have I lost? Have we just lost the Escape the Undertaker? Oh, here we go, Kofi. God damn, that's going to hurt. Steel drum lid on the back. Straight to the head. Well done, Kofi. Oh, they thought the Undertaker may be dead, but he's done the old sit up, as he stood up now. 2-hand choke. Oh, he's going to destroy the urn. Oh, this is going to be a decision. I'm going to go evil. It's horror. We're going to grab the urn. We're not going to destroy it. So grab the urn in 3, 2, 1. Grab the urn. It'll be too easy to destroy it. Let's go for a horror ending. Oh no. Okay. Oh. I guess this is based at kids, so it can't be too horrific. You can't get a downbeat ending, I guess. So they may not have destroyed the urn, but they appear to have escaped the Undertaker. And now we've got there's his hat on the floor. Oh, and he's sat up, surrounded by the smoke. It was brave, yes, thank you. Do we want to just start over or destroy the urn? We're not starting over. I've got work in the morning. So we'll destroy the urn in 3, 2, 1. Destroy urn. Oh, it's taking us back here. So basically, you have to finish it properly. It's got that bottle of whatever the hell it was. Okay, well that's better effects there. That's better effects than the punch lightning. It's a mixed bag of effects, but I guess it's got to be commended that they've done it's an interactive film with the characters as they appear in the weekly programming, and there's some cool moments. Isaac Yankem DDS being a nice little Easter egg. But it appears the New Day have vanquished the Undertaker. He says as a question mark, as there's a coffin with an open, an open casket, I should say. What is the difference between a coffin and a casket? Answers on the back of a postcard. I don't know. Okay, oh, okay, they're all in one coffin. Man, that's got to have been a cozy coffin. Not exactly going to have much room for one person in a casket. Casket's open in half. Oh, is that all it is? Okay, the pats on the back. Oh, it's a new day. Yes, it is. There you go. That's the name of our group. I wonder where this was filmed because this area looks like insane. Huge mansion. Face your fears or rest in peace. I guess that means we're finished. So rest in peace on 3, 2, 1. Rest in peace. Does that mean we're finished now? I guess face your fears would have sent us back. Oh, condescending slow clap from Mark Calloway. Come on, man. Well, thank you. We've passed. Oh, I don't want to start over. Okay. He's taken his hat off to us. Let's click end credits. Exit to credits. There we go. Oh, and it's an advert for the Adam Project, which is a terrible title for a film. We can close that now. Well, no idea, just a guess, but they open and coffins don't. Okay, so we don't know yet what the final story on difference between coffins and caskets, but that's where this podcast has gone. So I guess final call out before we move on to the last little part of the show. Um, the Ritual or My Heart Is a Chainsaw. I don't have a preference on either. They both sound quite interesting. Uh, just in terms of the likely time that it'll take me to read them. Oh bloody hell! My Heart Is a Chainsaw doesn't even have like an ending part. It just goes the last page of the novel is the last page. You know, normally at the end you get like acknowledgements and blah blah blah. No, this goes all the way from first page to last. So My Heart Is a Chainsaw is 448 pages, which is it's all right. It's about a standard novel. And The Ritual, which does have an excerpt from a following novel, is 418. So there's not really much in it. It's like what 30 pages. So Fran the Cannon is saying The Ritual. Crimson Mel said flip a coin to decide that is. I have coins in my room, but you know what we'll do? I've used it before with friends to decide on what film to watch. Um, is it like flip a coin generator? I think there's like a number generator you can do, but we've got just flip a coin. Okay. So I guess if I click it, it gives me heads or tails. So The Ritual is heads. My Heart Is a Chainsaw is tails. Let's do it. Heads. So that's The Ritual. There we have it. We will be reading in the next few weeks. I think we'll probably do is next week we'll do another Books of Blood in the book club. But in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be doing a deep dive discussion on the ritual. Do you know what? Do you know what? In case you wanna read it along and discuss your points as well, and maybe if you have an interest in discussing the book or future books, I can set up a. Currently, I use Skype, but I probably really should set up to use Zoom. We could probably have guests on to discuss the book as part of the book club. But currently, the ritual. Oh God, I can't spell for toffee. Novel. Um. Oh right, I'm very confused there. So it's not come up with the. Wait a minute. The ritual books. Okay, so the Kindle edition is £4.99. It's available on Audible, or the paperback is £8.19. It is written by Adam Neville. The only one that I can see on Amazon, £8.19 as well, has the artwork from the film. Um, I mean, the book. But we'll read that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Just bought a copy off eBay. Excellent. Nicely done, Fran the Cannon. If you want to come on to discuss it in like 2, 3 weeks' time, I'll aim to finish it by that point. I may in 2 weeks' time say we're gonna be a couple more weeks, but I'm gonna aim for that. We'll do that on the book club, and I think next week, for the book club as part of the short stories to kind of bridge the gap, we will look at the Forbidden from Books of Blood by Clive Barker, which is the Carrie is cool. Feel free to record yourself reading it out loud for me. Won't have time to read. Use an Audible credit. Use an Audible credit if you got Audible. Um, I did wonder about doing like readings, but I don't know if there's any sort of copyright things. And also, I mean, some audio books take like 9 hours or whatever. I mean, I've got the Fellowship of the Ring being read by Andy Serkis, and that's 23 hours. So that's probably not conducive for a 1 to 2 hour weekly podcast. But we'll discuss the book. So we'll look at the Forbidden for next week from Clive Barker, Books of Blood, and then a couple of weeks later we'll do the Ritual, and maybe after that we'll do My Heart's a Chainsaw, or if I've already started reading it, Funland by author's name I have already forgotten because I'm not very familiar with him. Richard Lehman. Let's just have a look what other books he does. Is he a current author, or is he more of a still writing? Oh goodness. Clicking on his name on Amazon isn't bringing up much, so I'll have to do some looking into him. Carrie's Cool says used it on Encanto last night, but I'll find one to return. Isn't Encanto a Disney film? Don't know. Right, to end the show. So obviously we have Retro Chat with Andy tomorrow at 7 p.m. I believe he's going to be talking about a vampire show was released after he died, so he's deceased. Yeah, I'll have a look into him, Fran. Like I've said, yes for the child. Carrie says, okay, cool. As I said, I don't know too much about him. I read mainly Stephen King, but I'm always looking for other authors to catch my eye. There's a guy who does. Oh my god, I've already forgotten his name. He did The Crucifix Killer. He's one of those authors that has like horror thriller book series, lots of books focused on one sort of detective. He's pretty good, but I can't for the life of me think of his name. I picked up one of his books a little while ago, but I know that book 1 or book 2 is called The Crucifix Killer, and that was pretty decent. I did enjoy that. I want to say Lee Child, but it's not Lee Child. That's the guy that did Jack Reacher. But anyway, I digress. Retro Chat tomorrow with Andy Evans. I know he's going to be part of the show looking at the career of Scott Hall, so I'll definitely be listening to that. Chris Carter, yes, thank you, Fran the Cannon, thank you. I don't know how long Chris Carter's been an author. I'm fairly new to his style, but yeah, I've got the audiobook for the second in his series, or maybe I've read the second. I'm not sure. I know he's done a lot of the one detective type stories. But yeah, Crucifix Killer is pretty cool. So that is Wednesday, and then obviously on Sunday is the Ministry of Slam show with Lee and Lawrence. I believe Lee will probably do some gaming in the week. And in regards to this show, next week, the next 2 weeks are going to be pretty damn cool. So next week, I will be joined by Crimson Mel, and we are going to be looking at a selection of paranormal horror films and how that would look and how that would work in everyday real life. The parallels between what we see as the supernatural in film, in particular stories, and the relationship with the real world kind of version of events. That's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to that. We've got a few films to discuss. So that is next week, Ministry of Horror, Tuesday, 8 p.m. And then the following week, I will be joined by Retro Chat host, fellow MOS Network showrunner of his show, The Retro Chat, Andy Evans. And we will finally be discussing the show, The X-Files, and in particular, one episode, which we've mentioned a few times on this show in the past, but we are now getting to it. That is the episode from season 4, episode 2, I believe. I never want to say definitively because my memory is terrible. Home. Think Wrong Turn. Think Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Think, maybe not Deliverance, but you get the idea. It's a great episode. Andy hasn't seen it. It's going to be new for him, but he is a font of knowledge when it comes to retro TV and film. So I'm very interested to hear his views on the show, The X-Files, as it is. I'm a huge fan. I'll obviously talk about my X-Files origin story, and we'll go into the show. So yeah, next week, Crimson Mal, paranormal discussions, and the following week we will have Andy from the Retro Chat. So once again, us at Crimson Mel, such a freaky episode. It was banned from television. I'll just say now, 2 weeks' time we'll be getting into the episode in particular, but I got into the X-Files because I'd seen a couple episodes on TV. I think the first episode was The Freak Show from season 2. I saw it on holiday with my sister when we were kids, and I think we were staying at a caravan at like a kind of a knockoff Butlins, which in the UK is kind of like a holiday park. My parents put it on the TV, and it's the very start of the episode. I think the episode might just be called Freak Show, but it's got a guy that's got like kind of mermaid disease getting killed and eaten in a swimming pool. That scared the crap out of me. And anyway, in the small town that I grew up in, there was a shop called the Sci-Fi Warehouse. It wasn't a warehouse, it was a very small store, but it was independent shops like that where you get a glimpse into cult shows. Beavis and Butthead, they had card collections in there, and they had box sets of things like Battlestar Galactica, like the original things. I never really was into that sort of side of the sci-fi, but they had the X-Files VHS box sets for like £8, £5, like, really quite cheap. And my sister says she's got no memory of that. Well, that's not charming. And I remember picking up season 4 and season 2 on a VHS and getting to the second episode of season 4, which was Home. And the opening 5 minutes of the episode is some of, at that time, probably the scariest TV around. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, especially with today's era where you've got The Walking Dead when it was good, having just, zombies tearing people to shreds. It wasn't visual on screen. There wasn't gore in the episode from memory, but it was what you heard and what you knew what was happening. And that was what was scary. So that is 2 weeks' time. And Crimson Mel, can't wait to join live. Yeah, likewise. Really looking forward to having Mel on the show. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. So yeah, Mel, I'll chat to you in the week on Discord. We've got the film list of suggestions, so I'll pull together some media for for the stream, but that's going to be a really cool show. We've got some great shows coming up. My sister, in a few weeks, we're going to confirm a date a bit later on. We're going to look at. We'll confirm the films separately, so I won't confirm them just now. But we're going to be looking at horrors that are based on true stories, and look at the case file. So what actually happened, or what reportedly happened, and how it was represented in film. We'll do that on a couple of films, but that's going to be pretty cool. And also to be confirmed, my good friend, musician, and actor Dean Jovey. We're going to be coming on to do a tier list. We haven't done one of those in a little while, and it's going to be the Friday the 13th and Halloween franchises. Which franchise overall has had the better films? I've got some that I love of both franchises, and I've got some that I don't care for both franchises. Dean's going to have his own opinions, so we're going to get that locked in. So we've got, the next two shows locked in are going to be really cool, and we've got some dates to be confirmed shows also in the pipeline. But anyway, I've taken up enough of your time, ghouls and fiends. Thank you once again for joining me for the Ministry of Horror. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe the MOS network on whatever platform you are watching or listening to this on. Ministry of Horror is on Twitter, Ministry_Horror. We're on Discord, Ministry-of-Horror. Facebook page, Ministry of Horror. We don't have an Instagram account yet. I keep meaning to do one. But what would I put on there? I don't know. Just pictures of my dog, probably. But that's all the general socials, and obviously the MOS network. So thank you once again, and good night.